The needle pierced his skin like a betrayal from the gods, right there in the dim glow of the garage bulb swinging like a noose. Alexander's scream tore through the humid Ohio night, not from the pain, hell. He'd taken worse beatings from his old man's fists, but from the venom in his father's eyes, the kind that said, "This'll make you right, boy. This'll make you a man." Patrick, his best friend since they were kids stealing smokes from the corner store, stood frozen in the doorway, his face a mask of horror, whispering, "Alex, what the fuck is this?" It was the summer of 2012, when the cicadas screamed louder than any conscience, and Alexander Hayes was 17, skinny as a reed, with dreams that didn't fit the rusted-out trailer park on the edge of Dayton. His mama had run off when he was 8, chasing some trucker to Nashville with promises of honky-tonk glory, leaving him and his dad, Robert, to scrape by on engine grease and Miller Lite. Robert was a gearhead through and through, hands calloused from wrenching on Fords at the auto shop, his worldview as straight and unyielding as a driveshaft. "Men fix things," he'd grunt over dinner, "can chili heated on a hot plate. They don't break him." Alexander broke early. It started with stolen glances at the boys' swim team, the way their shoulders cut through the Y's chlorinated water like arrows from some forbidden quiver. By sophomore year, he knew the word for it, gay. It sat in his chest like a live wire, sparking every time Jake from algebra brushed past him in the hall, all freckles and easy grins. He hid it, buried it under flannel shirts and football tryouts he bombed spectacularly. But secrets in a town like theirs, they fester like roadkill in July. Robert found out on a Tuesday, the kind of ordinary day that shatters lives. Alexander had left his laptop open, some forum post glowing on the screen. "Am I broken if I love like this?" Robert's face went white as the underbelly of a bass he once pulled from the Miami River. That night, after the shop closed, he dragged Alexander to the garage, the air thick with motor oil and unspoken rage. "You're my blood," Robert growled, slamming a fist on the workbench. "Ain't no son of mine gonna be that." He pulled out the syringe like it was Excalibur, vial of milky liquid sloshing inside. "This here's from a buddy up in Cleveland. Experimental. Testosterone boosters, growth hormones, shit to pump you up, make you feel it in your bones. You'll wake up hungry for pussy, boy. You'll see." Alexander fought, twisted like a feral cat, but Robert was stronger, pinning him against the Chevy's fender. The prick burned, fire racing up his arm, but it was the tears in his father's eyes that gutted him. "For your own good," Robert muttered, stepping back, syringe discarded like trash. Patrick, who'd snuck over for their usual late-night bullshit session, burst in just as the drug hit Alexander's bloodstream, a cocktail of synthetic manhood that would rewrite his body but not his soul. That first night, Alexander puked his guts out in the trailer's single bathroom, the world spinning like a bad carnival ride. Patrick stayed, holding his hair back, his voice a low rumble of "You're gonna be okay, man. Whatever this is." They were thick as thieves. Patrick O'Malley with his Irish mop of red hair and quarterback build, the golden boy of Lincoln High who could charm teachers and girls alike. But there was always something unspoken between them, a current under the surface, like the pull of the Little Miami when it swelled after rain. Patrick never judged Alexander's fumblings with words around cute guys. Hell, he'd even covered for him once when the coach caught him staring too long in the locker room. By morning, the changes whispered in. Alexander's muscles ached, not from lifting but from growing, fibers knitting tighter, broader. He stared at his reflection in the cracked mirror. Same hazel eyes, same soft jaw, but veins popping like rivers on a map. Robert watched him like a hawk, forcing protein shakes down his throat, dragging him to the gym after school. See? It's working. You're filling out. Girls'll be lining up. Alexander nodded, swallowed the lie, because what else could he do? The shots came weakly, hidden in the garage. Patrick none the wiser at first. School blurred into a haze. Alexander bulked up fast, shoulders rounding out, chest thickening like rising dough. The football coach slapped his back one day, booming, "Hayes, you been hitting the weights? Tryouts next week. Son." Whispers followed him down the halls. Damn, Alex got jacked. Jake from algebra even asked him to grab burgers after class. An olive branch that tasted like ash. Alexander went, sat across from him in the neon-lit booth at Skyline Chili, forcing laughs while his heart hammered for the wrong reasons. Jake talked cheerleaders, but Alexander's eyes drifted to the busboy clearing tables, all lean lines and quiet efficiency. Patrick noticed. Of course he did. They met up after practice, Patrick tossing spirals on the empty field, Alexander spotting him like a shadow. "You look different," Patrick said one dusk, the sun bleeding orange over the cornfields. "Not just the muscles. Like you're carrying the world in your gut." Alexander shrugged, catching the ball too hard, leather stinging his palms. "Dad's on this health kick. Vitamins or some shit." Patrick's green eyes narrowed, searching, but he let it drop, clapping Alexander's shoulder instead. That touch lingered, warm as summer asphalt. The betrayal crept in slow. Robert upped the dosage after a month. The vials coming from shadier sources now. Some doc in the city who didn't ask questions. Cash under the table. Alexander's body betrayed him first, voice dropping an octave, stubble shadowing his chin overnight, erections that came unbidden but pointed nowhere he wanted. He dreamed of hands on him, rough and tender, but woke sweating, confused, the line between desire and disgust blurring. At a party that fall, bonfire crackling in the woods off Route 48. Some girl named Tara cornered him, lips on his neck, hands fumbling his belt. He pushed her away gently, mumbling about the beer, but inside, panic clawed. "Is this me now? Fixed?" Patrick found him later, slumped against a tree, staring at the flames. "You good?" Patrick's voice cut through the laughter and country bass thumping from truck speakers. Alexander looked up, firelight dancing on Patrick's face, and something cracked. "I don't know who I am anymore, Pat." The words hung, heavy as humidity. Patrick sat beside him, knees touching, and for a heartbeat, Alexander thought he saw it, the same hunger mirrored back. But Patrick just handed him a fresh beer, clinked bottles. "You're Alex. My Alex." That's enough. Winter hit like a freight train, snow blanketing the trailer park in false purity. Alexander's transformation was complete on the outside. 6'2", 200 pounds of lean muscle, the kind that turned heads in the grocery line at Kroger. Robert beamed, slapping 20s in his hand for new jeans that actually fit. "Told you, son. Real men stand tall." But inside, Alexander was a storm, tides of rage and longing crashing against the drug's chemical cage. He aced the shots now, hid the bruises under long sleeves, but the toll showed in nightmares where his father's face morphed into a monster wielding needles. Patrick pulled away, subtle at first. Missed hangouts, vague texts about family stuff, His folks were strict Catholics, the O'Malleys with their rosaries and Republican yard signs. Alexander chalked it up to senior year stress, college apps looming like storm clouds. But one night in January, as they shoveled the drive after a blizzard, Patrick finally cracked. "Your dad's been weird around me, asking if I think you're, acting normal." Alexander's shovel froze mid-scoop, snowflakes melting on his lashes. "What did you tell him?" Patrick's jaw tightened. "The truth. That you're the best damn friend I got. That should have been the hook." The moment truth spilled like blood from a fresh cut. But Robert was listening from the trailer window, his silhouette a specter in the steam-fogged glass. The next shot came with a warning. "Keep that faggot away, or I'll fix him too." Alexander's world tilted. He avoided Patrick, threw himself into weights and pickup games, building walls higher than his biceps. Spring bloomed, prom season buzzing like bees in the halls, and Jake asked him again, this time to the dance, a joke wrapped in half-drunk courage at a kegger. Alexander said yes, because why not? Let the fix take root. He rented a tux that hung loose on his new frame, stood in the gym under twinkling lights, Tara on one arm, Jake's crew hooting encouragement. But his eyes sought Patrick across the floor, slow dancing with Emily from Chem, her head on his shoulder, his gaze locked on Alexander like a lifeline. The punch came later, behind the bleachers, Jake's breath hot with whiskey. "Come on, man. You're built like a god now. Let's make this night count." Hands on Alexander's chest, pressing, and for a split second, the drugs surged, raw, animal want. He kissed back, hard, tasting salt and regret. But it was wrong, all teeth and no spark, and he broke away, gasping. "I can't." Jake laughed, bitter. "Figured. Still a pussy under all that." The word landed like a slap, echoing Robert's venom. Patrick found him there, alone in the shadows, tux rumpled, fists clenched. What happened? No judgment, just that steady green stare. Alexander crumbled, words tumbling, the shots, the lies, the war inside. Patrick's face darkened, not with shock but fury. "That son of a bitch. I'm telling him to stop." Alexander grabbed his arm, desperate. "No. You'll make it worse." Their faces inches apart, breaths mingling, and time stretched, lips brushing in the almost kiss that could have changed everything. But Robert's truck roared into the lot then, headlights slicing the night like judgment. "Time to go. Boys!" he bellowed, oblivious or pretending. The moment shattered. Patrick pulled back, eyes haunted. "This ain't over, Alex. It was just beginning." Graduation caps sailed like black frisbees over the football field, tassels whipping in the May breeze, and Alexander Hayes stood taller than ever, his mortarboard perched on a head that now carried the weight of secrets heavier than diplomas. The principal droned on about futures bright as the Ohio sun, but Alexander's mind was a whirlpool, sucking him under. The vial hidden in his glove box, the mirror that lied every morning, Patrick's hand lingering too long in a goodbye hug that morning, fingers tracing his spine like a question mark. Robert clapped loudest from the bleachers, hollering, "That's my boy!" as if the applause could drown the poison he'd pumped into his veins. College loomed, Ohio State for Alexander, full ride on a wrestling scholarship he'd earned through sheer, drug-fueled grit. Patrick was headed to the same campus, business major, his folks footing the bill with dreams of Wall Street suits. Roommates, Patrick had joked over burgers at Frisch's that last week of school, but his eyes said please. Alexander wanted to say yes, to wake up to that red hair tousled on the pillow beside him, but Robert's glare from across the booth killed it. Dorms are assigned, Pat. But we'll hit the union. Yeah. Summer dragged. A limbo of auto shop shifts and midnight runs along the river. Alexander's body a machine humming on high octane. The shots continued. Robert's ritual now, administered with a Bible verse muttered under breath. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. Alexander endured, muscles coiling like springs, but his heart rebelled in dreams of Patrick's laugh, the curve of his neck when he stretched after a run. He jerked off to straight porn Robert left lying around, willing the fix to stick, but always, unbidden, Patrick's face superimposed, green eyes pulling him under. Packing for Columbus felt like fleeing a crime scene. Robert loaded the truck bed with Rubbermaids full of flannels and protein powder. His pride a tangible thing. Look what I built. You're a man now, Alex. Don't forget it. Hug was awkward, backslapping, but Robert's whisper lingered. No more of that other shit. Or I find out, and you're back here faster than you left. Alexander nodded, throat tight, and peeled out, rear view shrinking the trailer to a speck. Campus hit like a fever dream. Brick quads alive with laughter. Co-eds in sundresses. The air electric with possibility. Alexander's dorm was a concrete box on the 3rd floor of Morrison Tower. Roommate a lanky econ was named Tyler from Cincinnati who blasted EDM and collected vintage Star Wars figs. Dude, you're ripped, Tyler said first night, eyeing Alexander's unpacked duffel. Gym rat, Alexander forced a grin. Genetics, man, lies stacked like Jenga blocks. Wrestling practice started week 1. Mats thumping under fluorescent buzz. Coach barking orders like a drill sergeant. Alexander dominated, takedowns crisp. Pins lightning fast, his bulk a weapon honed by betrayal. Teammates slapped his back in the showers. Steam curling like ghosts, but he kept his eyes down. Towel clutched tight. The urges hadn't died. If anything, the drugs amplified them. A bass drum in his blood whenever a teammate's hip grazed his in a scramble. Patrick was a ghost at first. Text sporadic. Settling in? Hit the shoe game? Alexander replied quick. Casual. But his thumb hovered over I miss you 100 times. They met finally at the student union. Food court a cacophony of trays and chatter. Patrick sliding into the booth with a tray of Skyline knockoff, chili dogs steaming. God, he looked good. Freckles sun-kissed from pickup soccer. That easy O'Malley smile. Missed your ugly mug, Patrick said, nudging Alexander's foot under the table. The contact zinged. Electric. They fell into rhythm study sessions in the stacks. Late-night drives to the Scioto in Patrick's beat-up Jeep. Windows down. Mumford and Sons wailing. Alexander opened up in fragments. The pressure of the mats. The ache of missing home's simplicity. Patrick listened. Always, his hand on Alexander's knee during a particularly brutal story about a bad weigh-in. Thumb circling absently. You're more than muscle, Alex. Don't let anyone tell you different. The air thickened those nights, charged like pre-storm ozone. But neither crossed the line. Patrick with his Emily from high school. Long-distance calls full of I love yous. Alexander with hookups he forced. Girls from psych class whose names blurred in the dark. Betrayal brewed in the fall. Leaves turning crimson as the midterms. Robert visited unannounced. Truck rumbling into the lot like thunder, bearing care packages of jerky and Gatorade. He cornered Alexander in the dorm lounge, Tyler tactfully vanishing. "How's the fix holding?" Robert's voice low. "I scanning like radar." Alexander's stomach nodded. "Fine, Dad. I'm good." But Robert's gaze sharpened on the bruises from practice. "Not from Matt's, son?" And he pressed a new vial into Alexander's palm, cold as judgment. "Double dose this month. Coach says you're soft on escapes." That night, Alexander stared at the syringe on his desk, needle glinting like a fong. Tyler was out, campus quiet under a harvest moon. He prepped it, arm vein bulging, but his hand shook enough. He flushed it down the toilet instead, water swirling like his resolve, and texted Patrick, "Need you. Now." Patrick came, slipping in past curfew, flopping on the bed in sweats and a Buckeyes tee. "What's eating you?" Alexander paced, words damn too long. "The shots. Dad's still making me. To fix me." Patrick's face cycled shock to rage, fist slamming the mattress. "That motherfucker. We're telling someone, Coach. Dean. Hell. The cops." Alexander sank beside him, head in hands. "Can't. He's all I got." Patrick's arm wrapped around his shoulders, pulling close, solid, warm, the scent of Irish spring and autumn air. "You got me." The kiss happened then, inevitable as gravity. Patrick's lips tentative at first, brushing Alexander's temple, then jaw, then mouth soft, searching. Alexander froze, then melted, hands fisting Patrick's shirt, pulling him down. It was fire and flood, tongues tentative, then hungry, bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated. Patrick's groan vibrated through him, hands roaming Alexander's back, tracing the ridges of muscle that hid his fragility. "God, Alex," he whispered against his neck. "I've wanted this since we were kids stealing those damn smokes." They didn't go all the way, not that night, but mornings after, tangled in sheets, Patrick's fingers tracing lazy patterns on Alexander's chest, whispering futures, road trips to the Smokies, apartments off High Street, a life unchained. Emily faded in Patrick's stories, a high school echo, and Alexander dared believe the fix was breaking, his heart reclaiming territory. But secrets are thieves. Tyler walked in one afternoon unannounced, door swinging wide on Alexander and Patrick mid-laugh, Patrick's head on Alexander's lap, book forgotten. Tyler's eyes widened, then narrowed. "Whoa, didn't know." But he backed out with a grin, zipping it. Word spread anyway, whispers in the wrestling room. "Hayes? No way. That body? Wasted." Coach pulled Alexander aside after practice, steam still rising from the showers. "Heard some shit, son. About you and O'Malley." Alexander's blood iced. "Rumors, Coach." But the man's face hardened. Old school disappointment. "This program's about discipline. Man up or sit out." Alexander nodded, but inside, the walls closed. Robert called that weekend, voice tinny over bad cell. "Heard from a buddy, your coach knows some guy in town. Says you're slipping. Need another shipment." Alexander's grip whitened on the phone. "No, Dad. I'm done." Silence stretched. Then Robert's laugh, bitter as black coffee. "Done? Boy, you were never started. Get home for Thanksgiving, or I drive up there myself." Panic clawed. Alexander confided in Patrick over pizza at Mama's on High, booth sticky with sauce, Patrick's foot hooked around his ankle under the table. "We'll face him together, Patrick said. Fierce. Tell him you're gay. You're mine. And the shots stop now. Alexander's heart swelled. Love, real and ragged, blooming in the crack of his armored chest. Thanksgiving loomed, turkey and tension. They drove back together, Jeep eating miles, Patrick's hand on Alexander's thigh the whole way. Dayton welcomed them with gray skies and bare trees, the trailer sagging under frost. Robert greeted them at the door. Bear hug for Patrick. Good to see you, son, but his eyes on Alexander were scalpels. Dinner was strained. Mashed potatoes congealing, football on the TV droning, Robert's questions probing like drills. Wrestling treating you right? No distractions. After, in the garage Robert's sanctum, the confrontation ignited. Alexander stood tall, Patrick's shadow at his back. Dad, the shots end. I'm gay. It's who I am. Robert's wrench clattered to the bench, face crumpling like wet paper. What did you let him do to you? He lunged at Patrick, fist raised, but Alexander intercepted, body a wall. He's not the problem. You are. The fight spilled out, shouts echoing off cinder blocks. Robert's accusations flying. Fairy, weak, my fault for not hitting harder. Patrick grabbed Alexander's arm, pulling him toward the door. We're out, but Robert's plea stopped them cold. Wait. I did it for you. To save you from this. Tears tracked grease on his cheeks. A man unmade. They left, Jeep roaring into the night, but the seed of doubt planted. Back in Columbus, Patrick grew distant, texts delayed, excuses piling, family stuff, M's visiting. Alexander cornered him in the union, voice breaking. What's wrong? Patrick's eyes dodged. Nothing. Just thinking. But Alexander saw it, the flinch when their hands brushed, the old Catholic guilt rising like bile. Winter quarter brought snow and silence. Wrestling season peaked, Alexander pinning opponents left and right, crowd roaring his name, but the victories tasted hollow. Tyler became an ally, dragging him to queer alliance meetings in the union basement, rainbow flags and awkward icebreakers. There, Alexander met guys like him. Soft-spoken Theo from art history, bold Marcus with his poetry slams. Flirtations sparked, harmless, but Patrick's ghost haunted every laugh. The betrayal dropped like a bomb in February, Valentine's snowstorm blanketing campus. Alexander trudged to Patrick's off-campus apartment, heart in his teeth with a six-pack and a mixtape cheesy, but his door cracked, voices inside. Patrick's, low and urgent. Can't keep doing this. Him. Okay, but Dad would kill me. Emily's sob. Then, so end it. Be the man he raised. Alexander froze, beer slipping from numb fingers, shattering on the stoop. He bolted, snow soaking his jeans, chest caving. Back in the dorm, he punched the wall, knuckles splitting, blood warm as tears. Fixed. Unfixed. What the fuck does it matter? Patrick's call came at dawn. Where are you? Alexander's voice was steel. With the truth. We're done. Click. Spring thaw brought no melt in Alexander's heart. He threw himself into the mats, into Theo's tentative kisses at a drag show downtown. But Patrick's absence was a phantom limb, aching. Robert's calls went unanswered, the trailer a memory he'd burn if he could. Graduation neared again, 2 years gone in a blur of sweat and suppression. One night in May, post-tournament high, regional champs, metal heavy around his neck. Alexander found Patrick at their old spot by the Scioto, skipping stones into the dark water. "Heard you won," Patrick said, voice rough. Alexander's pulse thundered. "Yeah. Without you." Silence stretched. Then Patrick turned, eyes red-rimmed. "I fucked up. Emily. It was easy. Safe. But you're home." Alexander wanted to hate him, to walk away clean. But love's a stubborn weed, rooting deep. He stepped closer, Patrick's hand finding his, calloused from frat league softball. "Prove it." The kiss was salt and surrender, under a sky pricked with stars, bodies pressing like they'd never parted. Summer called them south. Road trip to the Appalachians, jeep loaded with coolers and regrets. They hiked trails slick with rhododendron bloom, camped under pines whispering forgiveness. Nights in the tent, skin on skin, Alexander learned Patrick's body like scripture. The freckle constellation on his hip, the hitch in his breath when Alexander's mouth trailed south. "I love you," Patrick gasped once. Post-climax tangle, and Alexander believed it, the drug's echo fading to whisper. But betrayal's shadow lingers. Back in Dayton for the 4th, Robert waited, sober 6 months, AA meetings in the church basement, amends scrawled in shaky script. He faced them on the trailer steps, hands trembling. "I was wrong, son. About everything." The apology cracked him open, a man stripped bare, offering not vials but vulnerability. Alexander forgave, tentative, Patrick's hand anchor in his. Yet cracks spidered. Patrick's family caught wind, whispers at mass. His dad's ultimatum over Easter ham. "Choose, boy." Patrick chose Alexander, but the cost carved lines around his eyes, doubts seeding like dandelions. Climax brewed that fall, homecoming game under Friday lights. Alexander, now assistant coach, watched from the sidelines, Patrick's alumni jersey in the stands. Halftime, a fight erupted, drunk alums shoving over old beefs, and Robert jumped in, fists flying to protect a queer kid cornered by slurs. Punches landed, blood on the grass, and Alexander waded through, pulling his dad off. Patrick's voice cutting, "Enough!" in the ER. Stitches and silence. Robert confessed, "Saw myself in that kid. Hated what I did to you." Tears flowed, real this time, and Alexander held him, the boy he'd been and the man he'd become colliding. But Patrick wavered that night, pacing the waiting room. "What if I can't do this forever? The family, the town." Alexander's heart seized. "Then don't." The words were blade and bomb. Patrick stayed, but the fracture deepened. Winter brought proposals, not rings, but plans, grad school together, maybe law for Patrick, therapy for Alexander to unpack the poison. They built, tentative, but Robert's shadow loomed, letters of amends turning to pleas for grandkids, subtle digs at your lifestyle. The real storm hit in spring. Patrick's dad dying sudden, heart attack in the mill, funeral a sea of black suits and Bible thumps. Eulogy over. O'Malley's closed ranks. Emily at the wake with sympathy eyes. Patrick drank too much, words slurring in the church basement. "They need me whole." Like before, Alexander walked out into rain-lashed streets, soaked to bone, love curdling to grief. Months blurred. Alexander solo in Columbus, coaching kids who looked at him with wide eyes, teaching takedowns and self-worth. He dated, cautious, a barista named Leo with tattoos and trust issues. Good, but not Patrick. Letters came from Patrick. I'm sorry. Working on me, each a knife twist. Summer found Alexander back in Dayton. Trailer sold. Robert in a one-bedroom apartment smelling of coffee and fresh starts. They fished the river. Silence's companionable now. Proud of you, son, Robert said one dusk, line casting smooth. For being you, Alexander nodded. Throat full, humanity in the hook's glint. The water's ripple. Patrick returned in August. Jeep dusty from a cross-country drive, therapy in California, soul-searching in Big Sur. He found Alexander at the old field, tossing a football to ghosts. I choose us, Patrick said, dropping to one knee, not ring, but a key to a place in Chicago. Fresh start. If you'll have me, Alexander pulled him up, kiss fierce under harvest moon. They drove north, Ohio fading rearview, bodies entwined in motels along I-71, laughter reclaiming space. Betrayal's scar tissue stretched, but held. Years unspooled. Chicago lofts, Patrick's law firm suits, Alexander's gym ownership, Hayes' strength, a haven for outcasts. Robert visited. Awkward brunches turning warm, his apologies etched in laugh lines. They married quiet, rooftop overlooking the lake, vows whispered fierce. But humanism whispers, no fixes, only folds. Alexander woke some nights, needle ghosts pricking dreams, Patrick's arm pulling him close. We're enough, he'd murmur. And in the quiet, they were strong, seen, loved unbroken. Chicago's wind-off Lake Michigan howled like a lover scorned, whipping Alexander Hayes' coattails as he stood on the Adler Planetarium steps, watching the city lights fracture on the water like a promise half-kept. It was 2 years into their Chicago chapter, Patrick's bar exam behind them, Alexander's gym pulling steady clients, kids from the South Side finding weights that lifted more than iron. But tonight, October's chill bit deeper, carrying the echo of a voicemail Patrick left at dawn. Family emergency. Back soon. No details, just that O'Malley lilt strain thin. Alexander replayed it in his head. Thumb scrolling Patrick's last text from yesterday. Love you, brute. Dinner at Girl and the Goat. A normalcy that now mocked him. He called. Voicemail again. The beep a black hole. Trust frayed at the edges. Patrick's family had a way of reeling him back. Invisible lines tugged from Dayton's graveyards. Last Christmas, after Patrick's mom cornered him in the kitchen over eggnog. When you gonna give us grandbabies, Patty? Patrick had spiraled. Weeks of late nights at the firm, coming home hollow-eyed. Alexander had shouldered it, cooked meatloafs and cracked beers, but the doubt lingered like exhaust. The gym closed early that day. Alexander spotting a teen named Jamal, 17, wiry, with eyes that darted like he expected punches. You ever feel like your body's lying? Jamal muttered mid-set, barbell trembling. Alexander spotted steady, voice low. Every damn day, kid. But you decide the truth. Jamal racked it, fist bump solid. Moments like that anchored him, echoes of his own fractured youth. Home was a third-floor walk-up in Wicker Park, exposed brick and creaky floors. Patrick's law books stacked like Jenga next to Alexander's dog-eared copy of Giovanni's Room. He paced the kitchen, pasta boiling over on the stove, smoke alarms wail yanking him back. Phone buzzed. Robert. Hey son, Patrick's ma called. Something about the old man's will. He okay? Alexander's gut twisted. Patrick's dad had been gone 3 years. Estate settled clean, or so Patrick said. He drove to O'Hare at midnight, wipers slashing rain, radio humming low-country twang that twisted the knife. Flight to Dayton was a red-eye blur, landing at dawn in a terminal smelling of stale pretzels and regret. Rental Chevy 8 the miles to the trailer. Wait, no. Robert's apartment now. A squat brick box off 3rd Street. Patrick answered the door shirtless, hair sleep-tousled, eyes bloodshot. Alex? What the? You tell me. Alexander pushed past. Into the living room where Robert nursed coffee. TV murmuring Fox News. Your mom called Dad. Spill. Patrick's jaw clenched, sinking to the couch. It's nothing. Inheritance bullshit. Dad left a trust, cabin up in Hocking Hills. Some stocks. But strings, for the family legacy, meaning straight and settled. Alexander's laugh barked sharp. And you're what? Entertaining it? Robert cleared his throat. Tactful exit to the kitchen. Patrick's eyes flashed, defensive, then crumbling. No. Fuck no. But M's involved now, executor or some shit. She showed up yesterday. All we can fix this, Patty. For your soul, Emily. The ghost that wouldn't exorcise. High school sweetheart turned family operative. The fight ignited slow, embers from old fires. Alexander paced, voice rising. You ran here instead of me. Again. Patrick stood, hands out. I needed space to think, without dragging you into their crap. Space? Or escape? The words landed like hooks. Alexander's own history bleeding through the garage, the needles, the fear of being fixed into solitude. Robert reappeared, plate of scrambled eggs thrust like peace offering. Boys. Fighting on empty's no good. They sat, forks scraping, tension thick as the yolks. Patrick's phone buzzed. Emily, meeting at the lawyer's. Don't be late. He silenced it, but the damage rippled. The lawyer's office was a beige tomb downtown. Fluorescent hum underscoring Emily's perfume. Floral, cloying. She sat prim in pearls, binder open like a Bible. Patrick, the will's clear, assets to you, but with a morality clause. Continued. Associations void it to charity. Her eyes flicked to Alexander, pity masked as piety. For the best. Alexander's blood boiled, but he held, Patrick's knee pressing his under the table, steady. I'm not signing shit, Patrick said, voice steel. Give it to the church or whatever. Emily's lips thinned. Your father's wish. Legacy. Outside. Rain sheeting the windows. Patrick lit a smoke. Bad habit relapsed, exhaling fury. I told her to fuck off. Alexander nodded. But doubt gnawed. How many times? They drove to the cabin instead. Hocking Hills woods a green blur, seeking solace in sycamores and sandstone. The cabin was rustic rot, peeling logs, stone fireplace cold. They chopped wood till dusk, axes biting like therapy, sweat mixing with confessions. I hate them sometimes, Patrick admitted, sparks flying from the blade. Wanting me boxed in their God box. Alexander stacked logs, muscles memory of pain. I get it. My dad tried the same with needles, not clauses. Laughter cracked then, raw, and they fell into each other on the porch swing, kisses tasting of pine and promise. Nights their healed fractures, bonfires crackling, Patrick's head on Alexander's chest. Stories swapped like kindling Jamal's progress, Patrick's pro bono case for a trans kid evicted by bigots. Sex was sacrament, slow and sure, Alexander mapping Patrick's freckles like stars, whispering mine into the hollow of his throat. Forever, Patrick echoed, and in that wood smoke haze, Alexander believed. Back in Chicago, normalcy stitched tentative. Jim thrived, Alexander hiring Theo from college days as trainer, tattooed arms a billboard for resilience. Patrick dove into cases, rainbow flags subtle on his desk. Robert visited, Thanksgiving turkey carved with shaky hands, toasts to family, redefined. But betrayal's art is patience. Christmas Eve, Patrick's phone lit up, unknown Ohio number. He stepped out, voice muffled, but Alexander caught fragments. Can't keep pretending. For Mom. Heart in throat. He waited. Patrick returned, face ashen. Old friend from high school. Nothing. Lies are landmines. New Year's. Alexander confronted over champagne flutes clinking in the loft. Who was it? Patrick's deflection crumbled under Hazel's stare. Emily again. Pressing the trust. Says if I distance, it's mine outright. Alexander's glass shattered in his fist. Blood welling. Distance? From me. The blow-up was biblical. Shouts echoing off brick. Ornaments shattering from the tree. It's money. Alex. Security. For us. Patrick's plea twisted. Or control. There's. Alexander stormed out. Blood dripping to the snow-slick street. Cab to a motel where neon buzzed like accusation. Days blurred in isolation. Jim on autopilot. Jamal's worried texts. Robert's voicemails heavy with talk to him. Son. Alexander wandered the loop. Magnificent miles glitter mocking his fracture. Until Theo found him at a dive bar. Nursing whiskey. Love ain't linear, man. But ditching it? That's the real fix failing. Reconciliation brewed slow. Patrick showed at the Jim Valentine's. Roses wilted from the cold. Eyes pleading. I signed it away. All of it. For you. Papers crumpled in his pocket. Waiver to charity. Emily's fury be damned. They talked till closing. Mats rolled out for makeshift bed. Bodies bridging gaps words couldn't. Spring bloomed fragile. Couples therapy in a Lincoln Park brownstone. Patrick's hand in Alexander's during breakthroughs. I fear losing you to their pull. Alexander unpacked the needle's scar. Therapists nod permission to rage. Robert joined once. Video call awkward. Is I get it now a bomb. Summer heat wave tested. Patrick's promotion meant travel. Nights alone where doubt whispered. Alexander filled with community. Drag brunches. Pride floats planned. One July 4th. Fireworks bursting over the lake. Patrick proposed for real. Ring simple silver. Knee in sand. Marry me, Alex. No strings but ours. Tears mixed with lake spray. Yes. Wedding planning wove them tighter. Vows handwritten. Guests a mosaic, Theo officiating. Jamal ring bearer. Robert walking Alexander down an aisle of wildflowers. But climax shadows joy. Fall brought Robert's diagnosis, liver from years of bottles. Stage 3. Dayton pulls. Chemo chairs cold. Alexander drove. Patrick beside. Hands linked over console. Hospital vigils stretched. Robert's hand frail in Alexander's. Regret nothing but the hurt, he rasped one night. Monitors beeping dirge. You made me see. Patrick cracked then. Hallway collapse, sobs racking. I can't lose him too. Alexander held, whispering we're enough. But the fray showed. Patrick's calls home lengthening. Emily's support laced with comeback to faith. Winter gripped. Robert fading. Last days. Trailer hospice. Snow blanketing like shroud. Alexander read to him The Old Man and the Sea. Hemingway's Grit a Mirror. Patrick cooked. Weak stews. His O'Malley resolve cracking under grief's weight. Robert slipped away January dawn. Hand squeezing Alexander's last. Proud. Son. Love like a man. Funeral was hybrid church for family. Bonfire wake for friends. Emily cornered Patrick after. Bible in hand. God's calling you home. He walked away. Into Alexander's arms. But seeds sprout. Patrick's withdrawal deepened. Firm side pro bono for queer rights. But home a ghost. One March night. Argument over bills. We need stability. Erupted. Maybe if I hadn't burned bridges. Patrick's slip. Emily's echo. Alexander packed a bag. Door slam thunder. Months apart. Alexander crashing with Theo. Jim his church. Patrick in therapy solo. Letters arriving weekly, I choose wrong. Reconciliation flickered. Coffee's tentative. But trust's thread frayed. Climax crashed summer solstice. Pride parade eve. Alexander marched. Rainbow armband tight. Crowd a sea of glitter and chance. Patrick found him post-march. Float wreckage around. Eyes desperate. I met someone. Briefly. After you left. To feel. Normal. Betrayal's blade. Fresh and final. Alexander reeled. World tilting. Normal? That's the fix talking. Patrick's tears. I ended it. Chose you. But the fracture gaped. Love's humanism in forgiveness. But scars run deep. They parted under parade lights. Patrick's weight lost in bass thump. Alexander walked Lakewood. Wind off Michigan carrying salt. His own. The waves. Alone. But seen body strong. Soul scarred. Man entire. The summer of 2020 burned hot and hazy in Chicago. The kind of heat that turned asphalt to tar and tempers to tinder. But Alexander Hayes moved through it like a man armored in solitude. Gym sessions at dawn. When the free weights echoed only his breaths. And evenings nursing IPAs on his fire escape. Watching the L train rattle past like a lifeline he no longer chased. Patrick's confession hung between them like a noose. That March night at Pride bleeding into months of radio silence. Broken only by a single text in April. I'm sorry. Working on me. Love always. Alexander deleted it. Then fished it from trash. The always a hook in his gut. Life rebuilt in fragments. The gym, Hayes' strength, became sanctuary. Clients like Jamal, now a junior trainer. His own takedowns fierce. Mentoring kids from Cabrini Green who showed up hungry for more than reps. You look like you been through war. Coach, Jamal said one sticky afternoon. Spotting curls. Alexander grunted. Barbell heavy. War's end. Kid. You just scar up and swing again. Theo swung by often. Coffee in hand. His latest tattoo. A phoenix on his forearm, a conversation starter. Date yet. Theo prodded over lattes at the corner intelligentsia. Alexander shrugged. Not looking, but eyes wandered. A barback at Big Chicks with a jaw like marble. A poet at open mic whose verses dripped vulnerability. Robert's absence echoed loudest. His apartment in Dayton sold quick after the funeral. Proceeds split to Alexander and a scholarship fund for at-risk queer youth. Fix what I broke. His will read. A final amend. Alexander visited the fund's first recipient. A Dayton teen named Riley with Alexander's old fire. Skinny. Scared. But spitting defiance. Your dad saved me, Riley said over shakes at graders. Eyes wide. Told me stories about a son who fought back. Alexander's throat closed. Humanity in the boy's grin. A bridge over the garage ghosts. Patrick surfaced in July. Email formal. Coffee? Neutral ground. They met at a Ukrainian village spot. Outdoor tables scarred by umbrellas. Air thick with falafel and regret. Patrick looked leaner. Suit rumpled from long hours. Green eyes shadowed. How's the gym? Small talk. A dam against flood. Alexander sipped black. Steady. Thriving. You. Partner track. Pro bono's up. Got a kid asylum case one. Pride flickered. Old habit. But Alexander quashed it. The someone. Patrick winced. Stirring sugar like penance. One date. Panic fuck after a bad deposition. Ended before it started. Alexander's laugh was hollow. Before or after you realized it wasn't me? Silence stretched. Patrick's hand twitching across the table. Reaching. Retreating. I panicked. Alex. Emily's poison. Family's pull. Thought normalcy would quiet it. Normalcy's a lie we both chased. Alexander stood. Chair scraping. Heel solo. I'll see you around. Autumn leaves turned the parks to fire. Alexander diving into routines. Dawn runs along the lakefront, where gulls wheeled like judgments. And nights volunteering at Howard Brown, facilitating groups for guys unpacking shame. One session, a vet named Marcus shared, Army fixed me straight. Don't ask, don't tell. But the mirror lied every morning. Alexander nodded, voice low. Mirrors lie. Bodies don't. The circle murmured assent, a chorus of scars. Halloween brought ghosts literal, Theo's party in Logan Square, warehouse pulsing with bass and body paint. Alexander went as a gladiator. Leather straps over muscle earned legit now. No drugs cheat. Laughter flowed easy. Shots of Tito's blurring edges. Until a text lit his phone. Patrick. Photo attached, a costume snap. Him as a lawyer with devil horns. Caption miss your fight. Alexander stared. Thumb hovering delete. But replied horns suit you. Hook reeled slow. Texts turned calls. Coffee to walks. Navy Piers lights a backdrop for confessions. Therapy's kicking my ass. Patrick admitted one crisp November Eve. Hands in pockets as they strolled the lockdown city. COVID masks dangling like muzzles. Unpacking the Catholic crap. The fear of hellfire for loving you. Alexander's breath fogged. Hell's what we already survived. They kissed then. Tentative under the centennial wheel's glow. Spinning empty. A Ferris of what-ifs. Reentry was cautious. Patrick's loft first. Then Alexander's fire escape dinners. Takeout tie steaming between them. Sex rebuilt bridges. Slow explorations. Patrick's mouth tracing needle scars faded to whispers on Alexander's arm. Beautiful, he murmured. Lips to skin. And Alexander believed. Body arching into truth. Winter lockdown hard. Pandemic's grip tightening, gym virtual. Clients zooming form checks from living rooms. Alexander adapted. Streaming circuits. But isolation gnawed. Patrick worked remote. Cases stacking like cordwood. But nights they cooked. Patrick's Irish stew. Lumpy but loving, fortified. Robert's birthday passed quiet. January frost. Toasts with whiskey in tin cups. To amends. Patrick's family emailed ceasefires. Emily's note terse. Live your choices. We're praying. Spring vaccines cracked the world open. Parks swelling with bodies starved for touch. They traveled tentative. Weekend to Saugatuck. Michigan dunes soft under bare feet. Patrick's head on Alexander's chest by campfire, stars pricking like promises. "Marry me still?" Patrick whispered, sand shifting. Alexander's yes was gravel-soft. Ring ordered online. Black Hills tungsten, etched with unfixed. Wedding brewed summer. Small, rooftop in Wicker Park. Theo officiating in sequins. Jamal best man with a speech that slayed. Coach taught me strengths inside. Vows under string lights. Patrick's I choose you. Every fracture. Alexander's you see me. Whole. Dance floor was the landing. Slow sway to Coulter wall. Bodies flush. Honeymoon was road trip echoes. Appalachians again. Hocking cabin reclaimed. Now there's with fresh paint and no ghosts. Trails hiked hand in hand. Nights tangled in quilts. Love's language fluent now. Patrick's laugh in Alexander's ear. Alexander's strength cradling Patrick's doubts. Back home. Life layered. Patrick's partnership. Alexander's gym expansion. Satellite in Pilsen for Latino youth. Community wove tight. Pride floats rebuilt. Robert's fund ballooning. But conflict simmers low. Patrick's mom fell ill fall. Ovarian quiet killer. Dayton calling like siren. He went alone first. Alexander's go. Heal permission laced with fear. Updates trickled. She's weak, but fighting. Family's civil. Then, Emily's here. Pushing church. Alexander paced lofts. Trust's old scar itching. Call came midnight. Patrick's voice cracked. Mom wants last rites. Says for peace. I need. Confession. Alexander's heart thudded. Confess to loving me? Fuck that. Patrick returned hollow. Mom's passing a week later. Funeral virtual. Alexander's hand on his screen during eulogy. Grief's wave crashed. Patrick's benders. Firm warnings. Alexander's midnight gym cleanses. Therapy doubled. Sessions raw. Fear of loss repeats the betrayal. Climax crested Thanksgiving. O'Malley House in Dayton truce extended. Turkey thawing old beefs. Emily presided. Grace laced with God's plan. Her hand on Patrick's arm too long. Alexander caught it. Fork pausing mid-bite. After. Kitchen clash. Emily's whisper to Patrick. He's your cross. Alexander overheard. Storming out to the porch. November chill biting. Patrick followed. Door slamming. It's nothing, old habits. Alexander whirled. Voice thunder. Habits? Or hooks? Fists clenched. Echoes of garage fights. Patrick grabbed his shirt. Pulling close, fury to fire. Kiss bruising under porch light. You. Always you. But doubt's poison lingers. Winter brought distance. Patrick's cases interstate. Alexander's fund galas solo. One February night. Snow blanketing. Alexander found emails. Patrick's inbox. Open on the laptop. Emily's miss you. Coffee? For old times. Unsent replies. Can't. But thanks. Confrontation erupted dawn. Coffee cold. Old times? While I'm here holding the line. Patrick's face blanched. Flirtation. Armor against the grief. Alexander's laugh shattered. Armor? Or escape hatch? Bags packed again. Door key left on counter. Figure your wars. Soldier. Spring parted them oceans. Alexander subletting in Pilsen. Jim his anchor. Client's progress his pulse. Theo dragged him out. Dates with a firefighter named Diego. Sparks but no flame. Patrick's call sporadic. Miss you. Therapy's brutal. Alexander's replies shortened. Walls rising. Summer solstice. 2 years wed. Alexander marched pride alone. Rainbow armband a talisman. Crowd surged. Chants love wins. But his heart echoed love endures? Post-parade. Bar crawl with Jamal and crew. Laughter liquid. Until Patrick appeared. Rainbow tie askew. Eyes searching. Alex. Voice lost in din. But Alexander heard. Turning. What now? Patrick pulled him outside. Alley cool. Brick rough. I burned it all. Emails. Ties told Emily never again. Chose you. Us. Proof thrust. Printouts. Therapy notes. A letter to his mom's grave. I love a man. Honor me by honoring that. Alexander searched his face. Green eyes steady. No flinch. Why believe? Patrick's hand cupped his jaw. Thumb tracing scar. Because I see you. The boy I kissed under bleachers. The man who forgave his father. Let me earn it. Kiss was monsoon. Rain starting. Bodies slamming wet brick. Tongues claiming territory. They tumbled home. Loft reclaimed. Nights rebuilding. Slow fucks at dawn. Whispers mapping futures. Adoption dreams. Cabin renovations. Fall healed joint therapy. Patrick's vulnerability a gift. I fear I'm broken too. Alexander's strength shared. We mend together. Holidays hybrid. O'Malley table tentative. Emily absent. Toasts to family found. Winter whispered peace. Snowshoeing dunes. Patrick's ring glinting. But humanism's truth. No ends. Only evolutions. Alexander woke some nights. Needle dreams fading. Patrick's arm anchor. Strong enough. Patrick mumbled sleep thick. Alexander kissed his temple. Seen enough. The autumn of 2023 painted Chicago in strokes of amber and rust. Leaves crunching under Alexander Hayes' boots as he jogged the 606 trail. The old rail line elevated like a vein through the city's heart, pulsing with joggers and dogwalkers chasing the last warm breaths before winter's vice. 2 years into their recommitment, the loft felt solid again. Bookshelves groaning with Patrick's case law and Alexander's recovery memoirs. Kitchen calendar marked with gym opens and court dates. A life stitched from survivor's thread. But lately, the seams tugged. Patrick's late nights at the firm. Not cases but depositions dragging into dinners. His laugh tinny over phone check-ins. Big merger, he'd say, pecking Alexander's cheek on the way out. Home by 10. 10 became midnight. Excuses piling like autumn drifts. Alexander filled voids with purpose. Hayes' strength expanded to 3 locations now. Pilsen for the Latinx community. Uptown for immigrants. The flagship a beacon for queer youth. Jamal ran the Southside satellite. His wedding last spring a riot of joy. Alexander best man. Speech landing punches of pride. Coach didn't just build my body. Jamal toasted. Arm around his husband. He rebuilt my fight. Moments like that were oxygen. Reminders that the needle's legacy could forge rather than fracture. Theo remained constant. His gallery show in West Loop a smash. Canvases of muscled forms intertwined. Realism laced with romance. You and Pat inspire half this shit. Theo grinned over gallery wine. Clinking glasses. Alexander chuckled, but his eyes scanned the crowd, landing on Patrick across the room, deep in chat with a junior associate. Hand on the guy's elbow a beat too long. Paranoia. Alexander chided, but the itch lingered. Old betrayals echo. Robert's fund hit milestone that fall. $100K dispersed. Riley now in college on the dime. Emailing updates. Therapy's weird but good. Thanks for the ghost dad push. Alexander visited Dayton quarterly, the river unchanged, casting lines in quiet communion. Miss you, old man, he'd mutter to the current, hook glinting like absolution. Tension crested November, Patrick's firm gala, black tie at the Drake, chandeliers dripping light like liquid gold. Alexander scrubbed up in tux, bow tie crooked, Patrick's fingers straightening it with a kiss. You clean up lethal, Patrick murmured, green eyes sparking. The night hummed, speeches droning, champagne fizzing, Alexander nursing a scotch at the bar, watching Patrick work the room charm on, laughter booming. Then the slip, Patrick and the associate tall, blonde, law school polish in a corner booth, heads close, the guy's hand on Patrick's knee under tablecloth's cover. Alexander saw from afar, glass pausing mid-sip, world narrowing to that touch. He waited till after-party thinned, cab home silent, tension crackling like static. Loft door clicked shut, Alexander's voice low thunder. Who was he? Patrick froze mid-jacket hang, face paling. Client's counsel. Networking. Alexander stepped close, scotch breath mingling. Knees a hell of a network. Patrick's denial crumbled under stare. Just talk. Swear. But Alexander's gut knew. Flirtation spark. Harmless but hungry. Fight fractured slow. Accusations volleyed over cold takeout. Patrick's you're paranoid from the past. Alexander's past's a teacher, not a prison. I choose you every day, Patrick pleaded. Hands out. Then act it. Alexander slept on couch, sheet stiff, dawn finding him staring at ceiling cracks like maps of escape. Space stretched weeks. Alexander crashing at Theo's, Jim his confessional. Clients sensed, Jamal's you good. Coach, gentle probe. Dates avoided, but solitude bred clarity. Journals filled with ink-black truths. Love isn't ownership. It's faith. Patrick's texts flooded. Miss you. Therapy appointment set. Come home. Reunion brewed December. Winter solstice eve. Alexander's invite to the gym's holiday party. Lights strung on pull-up bars. Eggnog spiked. Patrick showed last. Coat dusted snow. Eyes searching till landing on Alexander by the heavy bag. Gloves on. Pummeling shadows. Can we? Patrick asked. Voice small. Alexander peeled tape. Nodding to Mats. They talked cross-legged. Circle of punching bags guardians. The touch. It was nothing, Patrick confessed. Old armor slipping on. Alexander's nod slow. Armor wounds the wearer. And me. Tears tracked Patrick's freckles. I'm scared of failing you, like Dad failed legacy. Alexander cupped his face, thumbs swiping salt. Legacy's us. Build that. Healing hummed tentative. Joint sessions ramped. Patrick's vulnerability cracking open. Catholic guilt's a bitch. Whispers I'm damned. Alexander shared dreams resurfacing. Needle pricks phantom. Damned? Nah. We're redeemed. Holidays healed. Quiet Christmas. Tree trimmed with Robert's fishing lures. Toasts to ghosts. Spring 2024 bloomed bold. Adoption papers filed. Fostering a teen named Kai. 16. Trans. Foster systems discard. Kai arrived wary. Duffel clutched. But Jim thought him. First deadlift a victory roar. Alexander's proud echoing his own youth. Patrick bonded over board games. Monopoly marathons dissolving to Mario Kart trash talk. Family, Kai muttered one night. Pizza boxes strewn. and Alexander's chest swelled, humanity in the boy's tentative trust. Summer tested. Firm retreat for Patrick. Alexander solo with Kai at the dunes. Waves crashing like applause. Sandcastles toppled deliberate. Patrick's call nightly. Miss my boys. But emails leaked later. Retreat flirt. A paralegal's great weekend with winky emoji. Patrick's reply innocuous but lingering. Climax ignited August. Kai's court date for permanency. Judge's gavel a heartbeat away. Patrick missed it. Deposition overrun. But flowers arrived. Daisies. Kai's fave. Alexander's thanks text iced. We needed you. Patrick's rush home. Loft tense. Kai retreated to room. It was work, Patrick defended. Alexander's voice steel. Work or pattern? The unraveling was seismic. Shouts hushed for Kai's ears. Patrick's I'm trying. Alexander's trying's half-assed. You flirt for escape. Still chasing normal. Betrayal's core exposed. Patrick's face crumpling. Normal Smith. You are. But doubt's dam broke. Alexander's prove it. Or go. Patrick chose flight brief. Week at a cabin solo. Phone off. Soul search. Return was reckoning. Bag packed light, but eyes resolute. I quit the firm. Too toxic, bills be damned. Starting my own. Pro bono focus. For kids like Kai. Proof in lease papers. Business cards etched O'Malley advocacy. Alexander searched. Saw truth, no flinch. Just fire. Why now? Patrick's hand on his. For us. All of us. Kai emerged then. Voice small. Don't leave. Pat. The hug tripled, family forged in fracture. Fall stabilized. Patrick's solo practice bootstrapped. Alexander's fund partnering for legal aid. Kai thrived, school counselor. Gym rat. Coming out to friends with their wingspan. Holidays whole. Thanksgiving table groaning. Kai's pie lopsided but loved. Winter whispered futures. Adoption finalized. Kai's name changed to Kai Hayes O'Malley, a courtroom cheer. Cabin weekends. Now with teen chaos Esmores charred. Stories swapped. One fireside. Kai asked, how'd you guys not break? Alexander glanced at Patrick. Hand linked. We did. Glued stronger. Spring 2025 bloomed unbreakable. Pride march as family. Kai on shoulders. Chants a symphony. Patrick's practice boomed. Wins for asylum seekers. Echoes of his own chains snapped. Alexander's book deal landed. Memoir injected strength. Garage to grace. Proceeds to the fund. Climax's shadow? A final ghost. Emily's letter. Spring mail. Congrats on the boy. Praying for your souls. Patrick read aloud. Laughter barking. Pray away. We're golden. Burned it in sync. Ashes swirled to drain. Summer solstice. 5 years wed. They renewed on the roof. Vows updated. Kai officiating in tie-dye. You taught me love's a takedown, Kai said. Grin wide. Dance under stars. Patrick to Alexander's chest. Slow sway. Seen enough, whispered. More than. Stronger for it. Humanism's close. No tidy bows, but threads woven scars as stories, fixes as follies. Alexander woke dawnlit. Patrick's arm heavy. Kai snores from down hall. Coffee brewed. World waited. They rose. Together men. Seen. Unyielding. In the garage of memory. Needles rusted relics. Here. In light's embrace. They built. Love's true injection. Pumping life eternal.